Hey everyone, welcome to the LGBTQ Voice. I'm Tracy Welch alongside Eileen Dugas. Each week we invite guests on the show to talk about resources, events, health and wellness, and what's happening in and around the South Coast LGBTQ plus community. Hey Eileen, how's it going?
Hi, Tracy. Hi, everyone. This show is presented by the South Coast LGBTQ Plus Network. We are a nonprofit organization working with LGBTQ plus groups and allied organizations to build and maintain a comprehensive network for LGBTQ plus individuals and families in southeastern Massachusetts. For sponsorship opportunities, please contact leo@newbedfordguide.com. And welcome everyone to the show. Today, Tracy's going to give an update about what we've been doing this summer and what we'll continue to do on the show. And then we'll talk with our special guest, Karen Williams, comedian, who will also be performing Saturday night. So if you have not registered for this free, amazing event, why not? What are you waiting for? Get to it after the show. Register. It's free. And later on, we'll discuss some more upcoming events. So anyone who has questions and wants to chat, say hi to us, say hi to Karen, ask us questions, leave your comments. We'll be sure to get to you as usual. And so Tracy, what's going on? What are we up to?
Yes, I want to first and foremost thank everybody for trying to tune into last week's show. We actually lost some internet connection from the host. So we were not able to join you guys last week, but hopefully we'll be able to have Liz DiCarlo and what's going on with the voting soon. We wanted to try and get everybody to do it before the voting registration ended in certain towns and areas, but so hopefully we'll have Liz DiCarlo on again. But the network formed six years ago by 7 LGBTQ agencies and allied organizations. We wanted to create support for LGBTQ folks in the South Coast, from youth to the elderly, all nationalities, all skin colors, for everybody. Last year, we had an amazing celebration of the 50th anniversary of Stonewall riots that changed the world forever. The LGBTQ plus communities fought together, and we continue that fight today. So we want to let you guys know that 50 years ago, in July, in New Bedford, was the New Bedford riots, which people don't know about. So we wanted to have July and August shows, guests focus on what's going on in and around, focus on Black Lives Matter, solutions for, and talk about a little bit what people do in their everyday lives. So not everybody is going to be well versed in Black Lives Matter. Some people are of color that are coming on the show, which is amazing for us, especially during the 50th anniversary of the riots. Tensions between police and the Black community boiled over and erupted on the streets, bringing national attention to New Bedford. That began on July 8th, 1970. Besides tensions with police, the Black community was angry over underlying issues of unemployment, lack of education, poor housing, and discrimination. The situation escalated when 3 white men from neighboring communities stopped their car and fired a shotgun directly into the crowd, killing Lester Lima, a 17-year-old Black male. The 3 white men were arrested and all 3 were acquitted. Together as a community, we need to end racism. This show is focusing on solutions, what's going on in and around the community. So yes, Black Lives Matter continue every day in our heart, just like I fight every day for my LGBTQ rights. It doesn't change people. If you want to come on the show, you have a topic suggestion, how we can help, how the network can be involved, please contact myself or Eileen. Our emails are on the screen. But so I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about the focus of the summer and opportunities for our youth. As you guys may or may not know, I am one of the adult advisors for NB AGLE, New Bedford Alliance of Gay and Lesbian Youth, and we haven't been able to meet every week at our center. We've been doing Zoom calls, Zoom chats. A couple of weeks ago, we did a walk around Buttonwood Park. We received grant money, $5,000 in grant money with the help of Senator Montigny's office to help feed some of the kids in our community, youth ages 14 to 24. So actually next Thursday, we're meeting at Buttonwood Park again for coming out stories. Any kid that wants to come out, the first 10 get a $50 gift card to Market Basket to help with nutrition and grocery needs. And any of the kids that want to tell us their coming out stories, we're actually going to videotape it and kind of have that as an archive for future events and things like that to get the kids out. When we did a walk around the park a couple of weeks ago, we actually had 4 different youth that hadn't come to some of our events. 2 that hadn't come for a long time and 2 that hadn't come in like 2 years came out. And then 2 Thursdays ago, I believe it was, we actually did the ice cream social downtown, and we actually had 3 kids come that hadn't been out for a while. So it's just kind of nice to see the kids in the community getting out and what we can do. So Eileen, what you got?
Thanks, Tracy, for the updates and sharing that information about New Bedford. I want to introduce Karen and say welcome to the show. Karen has been performing for I don't know how long. She is in Provincetown a lot during certain weeks in the summer and the fall. She's traveled internationally, sharing joy and laughter. So welcome, Karen. Thank you for
so
joining
much.
us.
Thank you for having me.
And like I said, there'll be a show Saturday. Sign up for that because you won't want to miss it. So Tracy, do you want to start questions for Karen?
Yeah, definitely. So how old were you when you discovered comedy, and when did you or how did you decide to become a comedian?
Wow. I've been interviewed and asked that question so many times. First, I want to just say hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I love, Tracy, I love the things that you were saying. Very, very honest, true, and thought-provoking. There's a way in our lives that we just compartmentalize everything. And I've been a Buddhist for almost 5 decades. And one of the main things that gets talked about in Buddhism a lot is how interconnected we all are. And so when people say things like the personal is political, or we're not free, until we're all free, those kind of things are manifestations of some of the things that you talked about. I think our challenge in this society is, how are we going to really care about one another with that deep compassion that really does change hearts and minds? So in answer to your question about my work, I would have to say that on a very personal level, here I was, a young Black single mom, lesbian, living in Berkeley, California with 2 children, 12 and 1-year-old, a 1-year-old, and living in poverty across the street from 2 crack houses in South Berkeley in my neighborhood, and thinking to myself, like, I don't see anybody out there who's talking about my life, who's representing my life. So in that way that I've just learned to live, I said, since nobody's out there, I need to get out there. And so it wasn't, thinking is not linear. It was a lot of circumstances, but just having that thought that if not me, then who? And so circumstances evolved where I agreed to do 5 minutes in somebody's act on a dare. And it got good to me. And so at the time of this pandemic, my last gig was February 29th at the Villages in Florida, which is a lot of lesbians live there in a retirement village. And this is the first time that I've been home for 5 months in 32 years.
Wow.
So I've been on the road 32 years. I've been a comic for 37 years. And in that time, I have definitely seen an evolution from the Stonewall, New Bedford. One of my first girlfriends was from New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Welcome home. Oh, Karen zipped out. Hopefully she'll be back in a second.
The real deal behind my comedy is because I started performing in San Francisco, 1983, with Marga Gomez as really the person that kind of put me forward there. We were beginning the AIDS pandemic. So the San Francisco Bay Area had an award that they gave every year to performers who were engaged in community work and in the LGBT community. And I was always nominated. I could never win because Marga Gomez won every year. So at the very beginning of my career, I was introduced to activism. And I did my first rudimentary humor and healing workshop in 1988 in Las Vegas at an AIDS conference, where I had been asked by the producer, can you do comedy? Yes. Can you also do a workshop?
Why not, right? Yep.
And I did that humor and healing workshop. A tall, handsome, blonde guy came to the workshop, and he said his partner had died 3 days before. He thought he would never laugh again, and he laughed, during that workshop. So that was really the beginning of me taking on the lifelong work that I've been doing with my HaHa Institute, the International Institute of Humor and Healing Arts. So the performing comedy is very tied in with me also spreading the universal message of the healing power of humor.
And I noticed that you were the former board member of AIDS, so you've definitely
AIDS Medicine and Miracles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of AIDS organizations. It's where I met a lot of healers in those communities. My other name is Sati Jaya, Ma Jaya Sati Bhagavati is somebody that I studied with, just it's been a very long evolution. And then I went back to school in the 90s, Cleveland State University, wrote my own bachelor's degree in humor and healing. I have a master's degree in adult learning and development. And now 20 years after that, I'm at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, working on a doctorate in social gerontology with an emphasis on aging, on culture, the culture and social issues around aging with an emphasis on lesbians. Because when you think about it, how could we study what happens to lesbians as we age if we weren't out? So now there's an interest in that field of study, because we can look at, lesbians aging along the continuum. So it's very exciting. I'm spending my life, studying lesbians. It's great.
Well, I'm glad you're doing a doctorate. I mean, I know I told you about my work with the youth, but we actually work with the Fairhaven Council on Aging, and they have a monthly supper club. We invite them on the show all the time.
Wow.
It's important. So we actually get our youth together, our seniors together. We actually, encompass the entire community, because we don't know what everyone's going through, So when the kids are meeting with the mature, right? One of our guys says, we're mature, we're not elders. It's amazing the conversation that they have together. And it's just to sit back and watch.
Right.
It's quite fun,
Right.
And
I think it also challenges us on that other ism that doesn't get talked about as much, and it's ageism.
Yep.
We can be ageist in our attitudes towards the youth, and at the same time, America is a youth culture, so there's a way that we can overlook the wisdom and the vitality of older people. And so there is a way to really, I love that the LGBTQ plus communities take on all of these social and cultural phenomena that impact each and every one of us.
Yep.
I mean, even if you can say to yourself, oh, I'm not racist, but then you're constantly making comments to young people that are inappropriate, it means you still have work to do. We all have work to do.
For sure. We all do have work to do. Speaking of that, I'm in the process of reading the book White Fragility. And we have a book club coming up on that August 19th at 7. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation around that. And some of that conversation might be a difficult conversation, but I'm really looking forward to it. We all do have work to do, regardless of how open we think we are, how diverse we think we are. There's always work to do. There's always something to learn. And it's from, as you said, Karen, it's from people of all ages. I learn things, from the youth, new words all the time.
Right? We talk about it all the time.
And from the they like to be called the mature adults. I learn from them as well, their experiences, and see things through their lens. Yeah. It's very important work that you're doing. I can't wait to see what happens after you're done with your studies. So I look forward to learning more about that. And it's a great opportunity to finally learn from the lesbian community, what has this aging process been like for you? Because
it's also, so many lesbians in particular, even though people have, we exercise marriage equality rights and all.
Karen will be back in a moment, hopefully, guys.
of your life is not acknowledged, or that the people who are close to you are not acknowledged. I mean, that a lot of that still goes on, but there's organizations like SAGE, and there's more organizations now that are really, we do our best to tend to the individual needs in that larger cultural framework. And it's endless work. Anybody that can't find something of value to do, shame on them, because, pick something, do it.
Oh, definitely.
Karen, tell us a little bit about what inspired your original comedy. When you first started performing, what were you talking about?
Okay, so the first routine I did, I lived in Oakland, California, was about the 57M bus. And the kids would get on and smoke weed in the back of the bus. And I always went and sat in the back because I could stretch out. And so I talked about, missing my stop, or, getting a contact, and, suddenly, having the munchies, or it was a very silly kind of, framework for the comedy, but people got it. My first gig, I was performing in some really lowly bar. I went dressed up like a movie star. My hair was all braided in African braids, and I wore a Senegalese dance outfit, and, got all dressed up to go to this seedy bar. And, the kind of the bar at an inn that had the red heart beds with the mirrors over them. But those were my humble beginnings, and for the next 2 years, I followed this guy around, and we played all the clubs in Oakland, California, and collected tips in a jar, literally in a jar. And so it just amuses me when people perform 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, and want to be, millionaires and top artists, because it hasn't happened for me like that. It's really been I guess what it was is I focused in my career on longevity, and that's what I've got. That's
So,
what fame comes and goes.
Oh, definitely. Eileen, so you want to, we actually have comments, Karen, that we get from audience members. So
Yes.
Eileen, you want to take a quick peek and see what we got?
Sure.
I love Mandy's question.
Yeah. So Kate Combo, hi Kate, how are you? Thanks for watching. We're glad you're here. Micah, Fall River Reporter, Southside by Tiverton. Happy to see more things like this on this page. Oh, Dylan. Hi,
Yeah.
Dylan. It's nice to see you. I hope to see you soon. Hi, Mandy. So here's a question for you, Karen. Has it been difficult to write comedy during this time of a global pandemic and heavy racial tensions?
I would have to say no harder than any other time. Comedy is what it is, Mandy. I have actually been holding comedy classes online, which really just invigorated me as a comic writer and also as a teacher. So I've taught 3 classes, and then my classes, I did shows with them. So they were on Zoom, very well received. And then I was doing on Sundays, I just stopped it 2 weeks ago because I'm in graduate school now, but I was doing joyful jams and laughs every Sunday at 3:00, so that I could just have people come on for free, no pressure, and just talk about how they were doing as people during this pandemic. So people could come on and say, I'm stressed out, or I'm learning to play the ukulele, So it's just a kind of a forum for people. So I really see my mission as constantly bringing laughter and humor to people. And who needs it more than people at this dramatic time when we're kind of stuck indoors? So, but as far as the writing itself, not necessarily any more difficult than any other time, because we are communicating on Zoom. It's still a form of communication.
Thank you.
It's definitely a Zoom world right now.
Yeah. So Bob Young wants to know, Karen, who is your favorite comedian?
My favorite comedian is my dad.
Oh, I love that.
I have very funny parents. My parents are hilarious. My dad is, he gets a little glint in his eye when he tells a dirty joke. We have had to teach him, okay, a little off color and then, just tone it down a bit. But he's just hilarious. And then my mother is like Sarah Bernhardt, reincarnated. Everything's dramatic, and so she just cracks me up. So really, I grew up in a home that had a lot of laughter in it. I used to say that my parents laughed around dinner time just to make us just to help us not be aware that we weren't having dinner. Yeah.
Oh God help me. So Karen, getting back to the Black Lives Matter, you have 2 kids, 4 kids? I forgot already.
I
Sorry.
have three sons.
3 sons. So what is that like for you being, a mom of 3 sons, and what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement? What are those?
Well, they're 2 different things. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement has been to really bring issues of fairness, equity to the table. And so I can understand. I watched a very interesting video that really was a very intelligent.
So hopefully she'll be right back, guys.
If your house is on fire, you're the one that needs the attention. So right now, for Black people, our house is on fire. And we need to I'm so happy that we have these cell phones. I mean, these things are going on. They've been going on. Unrecorded, unnoted. People disappeared. I mean, brutalized, and you had no idea. And particularly where it concerns Black trans people. I mean, our sensitivity is heightened now. So I think the end all and the be all of any movement is to remind us of our interconnectedness and how we have to deeply care about each other as human beings. That's all it is. It's almost like, I loved what you said, Tracy. It's like I used to say in my comedy, people think gay people want special rights. No, we want equal rights. We don't want special rights. That was the spin that people would give on it, like we didn't deserve, our civil rights. It's really crazy. And I said, well, we don't want special rights, but I would like discounts. If I could have some discounts on my groceries as a Black lesbian mom, I would have loved that. But
here's my card. What do I get for it? Right?
Yeah. That didn't happen. So, not to make light of, I really suggest that people go on the Black Lives Matter website. If you really want to know what that organization is about and what is coming out of that organization, go on the website. The website is fantastic. I went on it and it really clarified things for me. I don't feel like I have to speak for all Black people. Everybody is an individual, and yet collectively as a people, we need to stand up for and protect each other.
When you talked earlier, Karen, about interconnectedness, the first time I heard that word, and I know, Eileen, maybe it's a good premise of you to talk about the Wellness Wednesdays coming up. Jeff Costa, who does the Wellness Wednesdays, did our youth yoga years ago and got a 2-year grant for our kids at the youth center. And he told me that word, and I'm like, I wrote it down. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, interconnectedness. I said, that's it. That is that key word. I'm like, oh my God. And Jeff told me that years ago. So when you said it, I get a smile on my head, and I think about Jeff Costa and what he's done for our community and bringing folks together.
Yes.
So I don't know. I know I just kind of talked about it. Eileen, do you want to talk about the Wellness Wednesday, since I kind of bridged that door?
Yeah, so tomorrow is the 3rd week of Wellness Wednesdays, Me First with Jeff Costa, Custom House Square. I actually think it is full. The registration is full. I can't believe it. But I'm working with Jeff right now. This is a little preview to extend that series. So as soon as it's confirmed, it will be up for more registrations. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been amazing. People have come, people from everywhere. It's not, your typical go into a yoga studio and this is what we're going to do. It's really about finding yourself, connecting with yourself, right? Interconnectedness. Yeah. First, we have to be connected to ourselves before we can give back, right? So before we can connect to someone else, we have to know who we are and how we can connect. So it's really a lot of foundational work for people. If you haven't registered yet, keep your eyes open for the next few sessions that will be open. It's great work. Jeff does a lot to make sure he sees where everyone is at and helps them come to their next step, not his next step, their next step.
That's
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I went 2 weeks ago, the first one. And if you guys don't know, I'm a big lady with body issues. And he's like, listen, wherever you're at, there's something for you. And let's start with this, So take a cold shower was one of the things I've been working on. And chewing my food and enjoying it for 30 chews. I'm like 20 chews, But be in the moment, enjoy what you're doing. Whether it's, like you said, eating a cherry, chewing crackers, just kind of enjoy what you have in front of you at the moment right now. So I wasn't able to go to last week's, but I will be going to the next 2 weeks. So as a bigger lady, I can tell you that, it does work. Jeff is just an amazing person. And Eileen reached out and got grant money. So the people that do come receive some sort of food. You want to talk about what the grant was, Eileen?
Yeah, so I did a grant around, it really was around emergency funding for COVID. And I was like, how am I going to help people who stay healthy on all levels, nutrition, mental health, self-care, and also make it something so it's not another Zoom call, right? I mean, we love Zoom, but I need some people, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up writing a grant and asked for monies to have this wellness series, social distancing in an open space, a green space in New Bedford, which is nice. Provide people with a takeaway meal so they can stay and eat and hang out and talk, and a gift card for groceries at Market Basket. So it really worked out well, and I'm impressed with the work that Jeff has done. I'm really excited about it, and I will write more grants for more events because that's what I love to do.
So I guess we'll get back to Karen. Sorry, Karen. We get so excited, when people in our community step up. And there's so many people behind the scenes that we probably will never know what they do.
Right.
But it's just amazing that we get to share what, Jeff Costa does for the community at large. It's just been amazing. So I know we're kind of getting down to that time frame before you even know it, a half hour goes by. But do you have any ideas or thoughts, you want to share about focusing on solutions or what people can do each day and every day?
I think that what Eileen said was really the key, is really working towards your own health and wellness and covering every part of that health, from physical, mental, emotional, physiological, spiritual. Let's not forget that. When you have a good spiritual foundation, however you express it, love is always at the core of that. And so how to express yourself with loving others, self-love, love for the planet, animal love, however it manifests. The idea is to realize that everyone wants what you want. They want good food. They want fresh air. They want to be able to feed and clothe their families, to be able to live in safe and adequate housing. People want access to good health care. People want to be able to exercise their bodies and their ability to be able to express themselves, so that we don't have to use adjectives all the time, big or black, or, just really, I'll be very happy when we are just people loving one another, being on this planet together, and really looking out for this and safeguarding. This physical planet is also suffering quite a bit. When we think about the fact that it's the United States and Europe that do the most damage to the ozone layer, without all the planes flying, people are noticing. I went down to Lake Erie the other day. We could see the stones at the bottom. That was just like the worst and murkiest lake. The physical environment is also taking a break from us during this pandemic. We are connected, not just as people, to every element of this planet, and we need to take better care of ourselves and it.
Well, we talked about this on a couple of shows ago, that it's 2020, and 2020 is perfect eyesight. And maybe this is why the pandemic is happening, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing things we haven't seen before.
I can see clearly now.
Right? And it's awful that people are dying, sick and dying. But
Yeah.
maybe it's time for us to kind of relook. Hopefully, when we all get back to our normality, that it's not the same normality, right?
It's
That
not
we've learned,
going to be the same,
right?
no.
That we continue this interconnectedness. I love that word. Love
Yes,
it.
yes.
On different levels, and the book series that Eileen does to bring people together. We did a movie together, and we all watched a movie at our homes, and we all come together and let's talk about that. So hopefully, we'll be able to continue to do these things. For some people, don't want to be out in the public, even before the pandemic.
That's right.
That we're going to take with us. So, Eileen, go ahead.
I just wanted to follow up on two things that Karen said. It's so important. Maintain your connection to nature, right? Be grounded somehow. Find out how you stay connected to nature. And also, we're talking about communities. We're talking about change in the community and how we want things to look. And I want to say this, all change begins within.
Yes.
Doesn't change out there. It changes in here. And I think that's so important to remember how important reflection is and to remember where that change starts. So I just wanted to add that.
And laughter is an expression of spontaneous joy. You don't need to have a reason to laugh. On my joyful jams and laughs, I'd count to 3. We throw our heads back and just laugh. You can do that anytime. You oxygenate your body. You oxygenate your brain. You bring your endorphin levels go up. You bring happiness from within yourself.
So, Karen, how can people get a hold of you? Do you have a Facebook page?
I have hahainstitute.com. HAHAinstitute.com.
Oh, haha. Sorry. Yeah. So in New Bedford, we have AHA New Bedford. That's why I did it that way. It's art history.
This is hahainstitute.com.
Cool beans. I want to make sure we put that in there because our information is usually out there on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tracy, I just want to get in these last few comments. So, Micah, I work with the elderly population in New Bedford, Fairhaven, and the Acushnet areas. Oh, thank you. Over the last year, it has been difficult to show the aging, mature LGBTQ community that I'm working to help them and to help coordinate their in-home service needs. Slowly but surely, they're opening up and becoming comfortable without judgment, Micah added. Nate says hi. Hi, Nate. How are you? And he misses everyone. Mandy said, thank you, Karen, for your answer. Awesome. And Maureen said, thank you, Karen, with a nice heart.
The first thing we're going to do when we come back, guys, is our tea dance. There's everyone offline. Karen, we have a monthly tea dance at the Harbor Hotel in New Bedford. And an eclectic audience comes from, 21 to 80, all ethnicities, transgender individuals. It has been so amazing that we had to stop it because of COVID. But when it's safe, we'll get back to that. It was just a really great venue. Like 80 people would come every once a month on a Sunday. 90% of the people just talked and 10% would dance. And then we would just talk and eat food and drink and just be merry. So guys, the tea dances, if you guys are interested, or it'll come again, we'll get there at some point. I know we're getting late. So if you guys want to join us next week, we have Marcy Pina Christian from the New Bedford Human Relations Commission on the show.
Yep. Karen, anything you want to add before we go?
Well, I mean, this has been a fun talk, but come and listen to the comedy on Saturday night. We're going to have a ball. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for asking me, Eileen. Nice to meet you, Tracy. And everybody out there, stay safe, stay sane, and keep laughing.
So, Karen, when the show stops, if you can stay on, we'd like to do a group picture.
Okay, great.
So, Mike, can you please put up the financial support? Thank you, financial assistance. So we also received another grant. If you are in need of housing, utility, food support, email me at Eileen@sclgbtqnetwork.org, and I will be sure to get back to you, and we can talk about how we can help. So please remember, you're not alone out there. If you need help, let me know. Or if you need to talk to someone else, Tracy, whoever, just let us know so we can be there for you. And that's all for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. See you on Saturday night. Saturday night, 7 o'clock.
Yep.